We are back for part 2 because we talk too much. Are you ready to get down to reality?
Let's get down to reality.
Welcome to part 2 of our podcast because Em and I don't know how to just stay on topic. So here we are again. If you didn't listen to part 1, I'm one of your hosts. My name is Ro, also known as Reality Ops.
And I'm your other host, M, also known as Connection Queen X.
Oh, you said it in the right order.
I did. I literally was practicing it.
Oh my God. Perfect. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to finish that recap that we started for you. It'll recap the rest of Vanderpump Rules season 11, episode 6, which was a doozy. So, there was a lot to talk about. And in the recap, you'll see we'll talk a little bit about Rachel's lawsuit and something that I learned from a lawyer that was super interesting. Again, you'll hear that just put in there within the recap as we're going off in the conversation.
Yeah.
But we do have to talk about something first, actually. Kristen Doty on her podcast, this just came out. I listened to it, I think it was last night. Was it last night?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Or
Um,
something. Yeah.
and I posted a video because in her podcast, she was explaining, and I'm going to do my best to explain this. I don't think Kristen listens to the pod. However, I don't want to say it wrong because I think she was very worried about the word getting out incorrectly and not seeming like she was Team Ariana or seeming like she was more cool with Sandoval. Because she had responded back to some comments on my posts, even though my post didn't make it seem that way. It was all her words from her podcast. It was just a clip of her podcast. I think she was a little worried in the comments, and she had reposted my video in her stories and tried to make it clear that she was not Team Sandoval. So I'm going to just share what was said on her podcast in the best way I can without reading the whole recap that we use. We're going to use, oh, Lala just posted a really freaking pretty picture. Got distracted by Lala. She looks super pretty. Go look at her Instagram.
Oh my God, it came up for me. I just went to Instagram.
She's so pretty.
But she's literally glowing.
She is glowing. There is a real pregnancy glow.
The caption for her photo?
Don't come for me when you're on OnlyFans for $7. Ooh, who's coming for her?
Yeah.
Denise Richards?
I know, right? That's why I was, or is she just using that? Oh, people are writing LOL. Is it Denise Richards? Interesting. Or
I know she likes Erica Jane, so
maybe she was just quoting Erica Jane. I don't know.
I hope there's some Denise. Did she get her hair darker? Whatever. She looks gorgeous. Okay. Anyway, Vanderpod recaps. That's where I was going, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. I hope Kristen doesn't get pissed off if I say something wrong, but I really think it should be fine. I'm going to explain. I listen to Kristen's podcast regularly, and she is very clear what a douche she thinks Sandoval is and how wrong and inappropriate he is, and she doesn't say good things about him. The last podcast, though, she was explaining how hard it was for her to watch Sheena on this episode of Vanderpump, the same episode that we recapped on the episode that you heard before, our episode of Down to Reality, and the one that's going to finish for you right after we talk about this. And she was saying that Tom also sent her money. So what happened was Kristen was on season 8. She believes it was season 8. And it was, and when I looked it up, of Vanderpump, she was no longer paid episodically. So meaning she was not paid by episode anymore.
Okay.
They downgraded her and they paid her instead like a day rate or something like that.
Oh.
So
okay, that's a heavy pay cut then. Okay.
heavy pay cut. And when the season was airing, and she was explaining this, she was not close to Sandoval at this time. She was friends with Ariana. She never was like close to Sandoval after their whole thing. But she says they were like buddies, and she was really friends with Ariana. She explained that they had all watched the episode when it was airing, and she then gets a PayPal from Sandoval for several $1,000s. And he says to her, "You carried that episode. It's not fair that I got paid for it and you didn't." Because he was only in the episode, she says, for like a fraction of the episode.
Okay.
So he gave her money. which they were saying how that was nice. It was her and Luke on the podcast, and they were saying how that was nice, but she did return the money. She was like, "No, that's I'm not taking this." So she returned the money, and then she was saying how she related to Sheena because she understands, like, how she would feel bad in the situation, and also she was just explaining, like, how we did, same as us, and we know so this is why I understand Kristen is very empathetic.
Right.
And she feels hard in her feels, and she was saying that Sheena's the same, she feels hard in her feels, and so she said it's so hard for her to watch Sheena crying and to not cry herself, and she feels everything like she's feeling, and she felt so bad for her watching this episode, not because of Sandoval, but just feels for Sheena, okay? Said nothing against Ariana, just saying she feels for Sheena.
And I think it's
Many of the
important too, just to note, I think you can still have some feelings about feeling badly for Sheena, right? And also still be team Ariana.
right. To me, 100%. I posted this clip of the podcast. And I was like, this is great. And to be honest, when I posted it, there were two things I was thinking. One, it's good for people to know this about Sandoval because these are things that I had heard. And when I was doing, like I told you guys, like my deep dive, trying to figure out are there good parts of him when I was just so freaking hateful towards him. So, anyway, Kristen was trying to explain that she sees these things about him that don't make him, like, a bad person, or Luke is basically saying, like, "Oh, so you're saying he's not a completely bad person?" And she was like, "Well, I'm not saying that." Like, she's afraid to, like, say those things, but she's just saying, "Yes, it's not like everything he does is bad. It's just that he's an idiot. He doesn't take accountability. What he did to Ariana was horrible. He does plenty of shit that she doesn't agree with." I posted the video with the clip, and I wrote on the headline of the video to make it very clear because I'm very careful about saying what people say. And it just says Kristen says she felt for Sheena and that Tom Sandoval sent her money also in a genuine move because she called it a genuine move. And it was a bigger video on Instagram, a lot of comments. And then I noticed in the middle of the night that she had commented back a lot on people's comments. Like somebody was saying, "Oh, I think everyone should forgive Tom by now, especially that Kristen has stepped forward with her story. Kristen has matured now, and I believe her story. Sheena does love Tom as a friend and should be able to forgive him and be friends with him. Everyone makes mistakes, and this one was huge but forgivable." And Kristen commented, that's not, or whatever, that's not what I was saying. I think he's a giant mess and a year later not learning to shut the fuck up. I don't respect him. I was recapping the episode and giving my thoughts scene by scene. Listen to the rest of the pod with a heart. So I think that Kristen might have read the comments a little bit differently. Like the girl wasn't saying, "Oh, Kristen is saying that everybody should forgive Tom." She's just saying Kristen stepped forward with her story.
Right.
And she's saying, like, use this as an example. But I think Kristen was maybe worried, maybe that people would start thinking that she felt that way.
I'm gonna yeah, this is like a consistent word throughout. It's the optics. It's the optic. I do understand, but I also
Right.
think that again, we've said it, Tom can be a good friend, right? Just not a good
Mhm.
partner. And I do think like in his and that might be a love language I've noticed throughout the years. He definitely loves to gift, his friends presents, and that is a love language in a way. So it's like he was just maybe looking out at the time and I mean, who are we to say if it was, like, genuine or not, If Kristen felt like it was, then I don't deny you know what I mean? Like, I don't deny that at all.
Yeah. Mhm. So then she reposts my video on her stories and she writes, "Please listen to the entire episode if you're going to weigh in on this one clip," like a message to everyone. And then she put in she put a link to her podcast episode, and the link's label says, "I do not feel badly for him." I think she's just afraid. But none of the comments on TikTok, none were like, "See, Kristen likes Tom." Like, none of them got that. Oh, what I was trying to say before is that that was part of the reason I posted it because you should see all angles of a human being. But the main reason I posted it is because of what I was saying about Sheena. I think people are coming way too freaking hard at Sheena, and it is really bothering me. It actually stresses me out so much so that I don't even like going on Instagram posts right now because I don't wanna see it. It's just too much, too much. And I thought it was nice the way Kristen was speaking about her. I don't think Ariana would want Sheena freaking crucified the way she's being crucified right now. Like, it's a freaking Dancing with the Stars comment. This is not the worst thing. It's not the worst thing in the world. We already know Sheena is like this. If you've seen the show since the beginning, you know how Sheena could be. There is no denying how she could be, how she does tend to make things about herself and how she can be petty. But again, like we said in the past, that doesn't mean that the way she was about all those things is the way she's feeling right now about the situation with Sandoval and Ariana. That's not for everything. And having these feelings of having to be caught between two real friends, not two like make believe friends that she's made believe are her good friends over the years, but two people who are actually important to her. But I thought it was important to hear Kristen's perspective on Sheena since she's friends with Sheena, friends with Ariana in the group,
Had a
actually there.
relationship with Tom and knows him, you know what I mean? Like, she is somebody
Yeah.
who could I feel like Kristen is somebody who could speak on his genuity. Is that a word? Like genuineness? Genuity?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Probably not. But she, like, you know what I mean? Like, she actually did spend time with him, so I feel like if she's like, it was genuine at the time, then I believe that, I don't think
E
that just because everything that has happened, he hasn't always been, like, horrid in ways of friendships, in ways of wanting to be there for people, not necessarily his partner, but you know what I mean?
Right, yeah. I think that she had many choice words for him, like, called him a sociopath, and narcissist, like, all these things in the podcast, so it's not like she was just saying for this
No,
one
literally,
instant,
that
you
screenshot
know?
moment of just
Yeah,
that moment in time. Yeah.
yeah. Genuity, free from hypocrisy or pretense, sincere. His apology yeah, I never heard that, you were right, oh, sorry, it's not genuity, it's genuine. Never mind.
I don't know what.
Genuity is a synonym of genuineness. However, genuineness is preferable one to be used in English. It's not recognized in the Oxford Dictionary.
Oh, that's so
Well,
funny, it's not. Okay, I've heard it in movies before, that's why I was like, "That's so
oh,
funny, it's not recognized."
we'll give you credit on the
Where is
test.
it recognized? Anyway.
So back to Kristen. Hi, if you're new here, by the way, we do this a lot. We go off topic a lot. But back to Kristen. I did put up another video because I care about I don't want her to feel worried about this. So I put up another video. I don't know if she saw it. It did not do very well because it was me talking in the beginning because I felt like I needed to explain it. I could just put up the clip of her saying this shit, but I don't know. Just explaining what happened because in her podcast, she also had a message for Sandoval where she was telling him how to take accountability. And I loved what she said. And you guys will probably hear us saying something similar actually when you listen to the recap right after this, but just explaining how do you take accountability. And by the way, I have to say this Luke, her boyfriend Luke,
Mhm.
I have such high hopes that he will be one of the Bravo guys that is actually a good one and that we actually really like as a person, as a human. He's emotionally intelligent,
Yes.
well-spoken, he sees all sides. You like him too?
Yes, because I have not listened consistently to Kristen's podcast, but when I have listened and he's spoken in any capacity, I'm like, "Oh, this is like a healed person," or he is on a healing journey, or he's done work, and you can tell. And I love the way that he communicates.
Yeah, he's just really he's a good one. I like him a lot.
He sounds very down to earth.
Very down to earth.
He's not in the industry, in quotes, you know what I mean? He's not, like, tainted with that.
Yeah, mhm. Well, he's gonna be now with the Valley, just, like, basically throwing him to the wolves. There's no, like, reality TV foreplay. Anyway, yeah, so I put another video explaining Kristen still does not like Sandoval. She was just saying how she felt for Sheena. She loves Ariana. She's team Ariana, and she is. So, put that one out there. Alright, next thing. Oh, I need to say really quick, did you see Jackson's comment on my
I
Rachel post?
I feel like you should read that really quick.
Alright, I should read it. I was like,
'Cause
"Oh my
couples there.
god."
That's so rich.
Do you feel like these words are from Vanderpump? Because these are the words to me that are like Vanderpump: rich, vitriol, and
Oh,
optics.
okay, optics for sure.
You said that before in another.
Rich is a TikTok sound for me. "Well, that's rich coming from you." I think of that, like, TikTok song.
Oh, I don't know that TikTok song.
I wonder how different our algorithms are. But yeah,
My algorithm is puppies, babies, and, like, a few Vanderpump things, mostly puppies and babies.
yeah, we have very different algorithms, but that is a TikTok sound, so that's why I was like, "That's rich coming from him." But
Mm.
vitriol, I feel like is a Rachel word.
Rachel got it from Sandoval, from Schwartz, mostly from Schwartz.
Okay, I could see that, yeah.
Honestly, like, the first time I heard her say it, I'm like, "She got it from Schwartz." Okay. I mean, I'm not gonna take away credit from her. She might have had it on her own, but I really truly feel like she got it from Schwartz.
Also, language is
So,
very, like, influential, so if you hear it, it usually sticks, if you like the word.
language? Yeah, that makes sense. Is that something that you learned from the speech and language? Do you wanna say you're a speech and language pathologist or no?
No, no, I'm just saying, like, I could see that, like, personally, the ludicrous word, I love that word, I'll use it whenever I can, you know?
Yeah. Are you cool with saying you're a speech and language pathologist on here, or you don't want to? I don't remember.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, I have,
Oh,
yeah.
I know you've said that pathologist is pathologizing, and we talked about that. Okay. So Jax commented on my post, and it was a post of Rachel's podcast. It was an old post. It says, "This promo for episode 2 of Rachel's podcast," and it was a promo for it, showing her talking about everything. I realized after I commented actually that it was where she kept smiling throughout things, and then we talked or she talked, I don't
Oh,
know why.
that's true. Because I was like, "Wait, like, this came out, like, so long ago, what is," and that makes sense because she was smiling heavy and everyone was up in arms. Okay. But
Yeah, and then I talked about in the video about that's why I said wait, because I made a video saying, like, the reason why I think she might be smiling, and then on her podcast the following week, she talks about that topic about why she might be smiling. So, I do feel worse knowing that that's what he's probably referring to, but his response, he commented, "This is the most disturbing video I have ever seen in my life, dot, dot, dot. I think she needs to possibly go back to the trauma center."
I was shooketh. I was like, "What?" I rubbed my eyes. I was like, "Does that say Mr. Jax Taylor wrote that?"
Very rich coming from him.
Also,
It is very
he's
rich.
on a rampage right now. So it's like, I feel like he's just, like, up in arms. He's super annoyed that, like, the news came out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
People
Yeah.
usually deflect. Certain types of people usually deflect, and I feel like he's just probably deflecting on everyone else that's a Bravo person in the heat, you know?
We need to make a sound for our podcast, since you're a singer, that's like and then we'll keep it for our podcast. It'll just be like whenever there's deflection, it'll say like deflection or
Oh,
something like that.
there's actually this, like, equipment we can buy and insert different words in. It's like what you're saying, actually.
Okay.
But I could always record and just be like,
Send that shit to me, please, because yeah, we need to do that. We should make that a thing, like a deflection thing. All right. So, anyway, here's part 2 of our Vanderpump season 11 episode 6 recap. This is a continuation of the episode we have before this.
there was another part of the gondola, though, that I thought was kinda interesting, which was Brock talking about how your team put out a whole story about how I'm sleeping with Rachel. Do you remember when, like, the whole Scandival broke and then there was, like, some news articles about how, like, "Oh, maybe Brock has been dishonest with Tina
Yeah.
about Rachel," and all of that, and, like, Brock was very, very certain, at least in the
Yeah.
gondola ride, about, like, "Sandoval, your team pushed out that story. My team confirmed with the media, and they said your team pushed that." You know what I mean? I was like, "Oh my,"
Yeah.
I remember seeing, articles about that, especially because Sheena had mentioned, like, "Oh my god, me, Rachel, and Brock would, like, sleep in the same bed. I would have no problem with that."
Right,
I feel like they
right.
used that against her.
Yeah, and then Ariana said in the after show too, she's like, "Well, I'm afraid to say anything bad about this publicist, but the publicist, I could see doing stuff like that." So, that's what I mean, it's so crazy. One person can put something out there, and by the way, when I say person, I can say even me. I could put one video out there and make a claim, and then you have another person picking it up, and then another person picking it up, and another person picking any creator can do that. Anyone, whether you have 1,000 followers or 100,000 followers or a million followers, it's just like one public claim, and all of a sudden it spins out of control. It's like how a rumor would go around your classroom, telephone, or your school, like
Yes, or yeah.
Susie made out with David last night in the dark room,
Yeah.
in eighth period. So, like, that happens, that gets said, and that's by the end of the school day, by 12th period, the whole entire fucking school thinks that Susie made out with David. By the next day, everybody says that Susie and David for months have been planning their escape to run away together to the hills of Azusa. But really, Susie was just showing David a picture that she took of Mrs. Buckles. And then Susie is in trouble because she's going out with Joey. So, like, The whole idea is just you could put one idea out there and it goes around so fast on that internet.
But okay, that's what's confusing. I do see the whole cast as a team. I would think that they would wanna try to be together as much as possible. Why are they each going after each other?
Well, trying to deflect or
Well,
trying to
yeah.
well, he said that he was trying to put that rumor yeah, and I don't know if that was Sandoval was saying no, though, in the most unconvincing way,
I know. And
and
also unconvincing, but also, like, unemotional. Like, he had no sympathy for what Brock went through during that time as Sheena's husband, nor what Sheena went through as his ex-friend.
that's what's so hard about him is, like, he doesn't know how to empathize or even sympathize, right? Even a more surface level, sympathize with another person, and that's what he doesn't get that he's missing. He's
And
missing that piece.
and that for me is, like, a really, really big deal because perspective taking, I feel, is something that people in general should try to work on or understand or do or implore in their, like, everyday. I don't know if it's because of, like, my job or whatever the case is, but, like, I'm definitely, like, hyper pragmatic in the sense of, like, my social skills. I feel like I'm always making an effort just because I want to understand. I want to actually feel. I wanna know, I wanna think in their shoes. Not everybody's wired like that. I just
Yeah,
happen to be wired like that. But if he could get a little bit of that or a little bit more of that, I do think that people would have a different take on him. He just doesn't even show that he wants to be empathetic. He does, in my opinion, by the way.
yeah,
He doesn't show that he even wants to be sympathetic, and that's what's frustrating.
yeah. Well, this leads us to the boat actually, because that's the perfect time to
Oh,
bring up the
amazing. Yes.
"Let's get to the boat." Let's do that.
I love it, yes. No, let's do it. Yes, row, row, row your boat, let's go.
What'd you think?
I love Lala, I'm so freaking proud of her, and I feel like she said everything that was 1,000% valid, fair, and it was true. How
Yeah,
dare you, Tom? How dare you? And the fact that I personally feel like Lala has shown Sandoval a ton of grace. How dare
uh,
you?
yeah, she
How
has.
dare you bring up anything when I'm even having a conversation with you? Sandoval, you have talked about me in and out about how I'm a mistress and this and that. And I'm actually sitting here, cool, calm, collected, trying to give you the opportunity to have a conversation. And you are just in such defense. He's always in defense.
What do you want him to do?
I want him to first off, I want him to listen and not respond. That's the first thing. I need for him to listen. I need to see him process, think about what he wants to say and then respond. And I haven't seen that yet. Cuz for me,
Mhm.
that's the reflection I'm looking for on his end.
Yeah. No one has taught Sandoval, or Sandoval has never learned, and at this point, he should have learned, but he hasn't learned that when someone's saying something to you, sometimes they need to just say it, to speak, and get something off their chest, and he has to learn how to not be selfish in moments. Because when he hears what a person's saying, what he's thinking instead is about how it makes him look or how it affects him, rather than thinking, what does this person in front of me need? What do they need in this moment? What are they looking for? How can I hear them better? What did I do to hurt them? He's not learned how to look at a person and feel what they might need and what they could be feeling. And if he learns that, his life would be very different. And it wouldn't always be like, they're coming at me, they're coming at me, they're coming at me. It would be like, what's going on with this person? Like, how can I help them here? Or what are they feeling here? Or what could I do differently? And this is why, again, like we said, he needs therapy. He needs therapy. You see Jax's freaking comment on what's it called? X,
Yes.
whatever the thing. Everybody thinks you're a marriage counselor
Yep.
now. Okay, so if you don't know, Jax posted on X in reference to everybody making comments about him and Brittany and how he's probably in the wrong. He said, everybody's a fucking marriage counselor now with a clown face.
And I'm like,
No, Jax.
Jax, no.
Literally, it would take anyone to like, no, anyone can look at this situation and be like, come on. We know what's going on here. It's so stupid. Anyway, it pisses me off. I'm so pissed off still. I'm pissed off.
It's frustrating. It really is because I think that also I don't know. Let me ask you this actually. I don't want to speak for you. Are you frustrated because you got jaxed?
I'm frustrated because he has been what I thought was so it's because he hasn't been on TV. So it's easy for him.
Oh,
I
good
forgot how
point.
good
That's a
I forgot
great
how
point. He has not been filmed. We have not seen him in his everyday. That's a great
no.
point.
And he's very good, I've realized, at portraying a certain appearance and look, and it's fake, and it pisses me the fuck off. And, like, now all those posts that he has on his Instagram too, like, when he'd be like, "The wife, the husband, blah, blah, blah."
Yep.
Like, I'm like, "I don't believe anything you're saying," like, he puts up all those memes, and I thought they were funny, and I really thought he's changed, and he
Me
seemed like he
too.
changed.
Me too, Ops. I'm so
I mean, let's see, but he seems to me now, I don't believe anything from him
well, it just
because
kind of seems like a facade, like a true facade that has been lived out.
it pisses me off too because I can't believe that he would do this and Brittany has to correct it and say the truth. It's so disrespectful to her
And
to be like, "I'm gonna lie to the world."
she's been so in my opinion, she has been so gentle towards how she's responding to certain questions when paparazzi ask her. I'm like, "Wow, she's still protecting him." Clearly, there's still love there. She hasn't been nasty in any of her responses.
No, but I feel like she's grown a good pair, and
Yes.
I like now to say good pair of ovaries because you know what?
Yes, me too, I love that. Instead of
And
the
didn't
homemade
Lala say
yeah,
something about ovaries too? What did Lala say?
that I don't know about, but I love that you brought up ovaries. Let's actually think about it, because like,
Grow a good
balls
pair of
are weak, you know what I mean? Like, the ovaries take a hit every month, 12 times a year.
them.
We power through.
Yeah. And nothing against guys. We have guy listeners, and by the way, I love a good guy. I
Me
love a nice
too.
guy. I love a nice guy,
I
a
love a
good guy.
guy that is actually able to be aware of their emotions and not be afraid to talk about it, experience it, feel it. That's the type of guy I like.
Yeah, same. Ooh, I made a bird noise. Same. Um, okay, so with the boat, when Lala was saying to him, like, she just wanted an apology for him for saying that Lala had douchey energy and that she just needs to be real. So Sandoval said, Lala has douchey energy and she just needs to be real. And he's using stuff from his opinion, from 6 years of being on the show and not showing enough on the show, and douchey energy, and she's saying, "While you're fucking cheating on your girlfriend, on your partner for 7 months, at least," I have to bring up a great point. I talked to a lawyer
I love when you
who
gasp. I always get excited when you
oh,
gasp.
sorry. Yeah, who is a follower, and she's awesome. She does not wanna be named, but she was telling me some very interesting things about the lawsuit to think about, and we'll bring them up on the next podcast because this will be too long. But one of them I just said we'll bring them up, and I'm still telling you one of them. One of them is that, is Rachel realizing that if they go to court, everything is gonna come out, including timeline, receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots, fucking everything. It's all gonna be out.
It
So
is, and it's recorded. Like, this is, like, recorded and it's out, and when you say out, you mean out on the internet, which means it's never gonna not be out there.
everywhere. And Rachel, who is mortified or is seemingly mortified by having 2 videos, and it's only knowledge of what's in the video out there. Well, guess what? Everything from your relationship is now going to be out there. Do you wanna do that? Because I know I wouldn't. If I were in her position, I would not want any of that shit out there. That is going to be way worse. Why is this happening? It makes no sense to
It's
me.
very contradictory because 'cause I'm like, "Wait, first off, Rachel has said different narratives in different podcasts." That already, I'm hoping, will be brought up between her on Bethany's podcast, her on her own podcast. It's gonna be as dismissible. It's not
All that, but Ariana's team is going to be able to get any the phones are gonna be subpoenaed, right? So, she's going to have all records of interactions between Sandoval and Rachel. videos back and forth, text messages back and forth, all that shit will be out there. And she's going to be questioned under oath, and her people are going to be questioned under oath. She's embarrassed by having these 2 videos out there. Now she's going to have a whole slew of shit
Oh
out there.
my gosh. That
Everything's going to
I
be
did
out there.
not think about. Wait a second.
Yes,
One.
all of it.
No, Ro, I did not think about that at all. Nope.
Why would you want that?
It's almost like she's opening up a can of worms.
Opening up the
Okay,
biggest
that is
can
a
of worms.
great point, yeah.
So, unless, I mean, yeah. So let's say she has some proof from her side that Ariana did send it to multiple people, which would be terrible. Terrible. I hope that didn't happen. I don't think that happened, but let's say it happened. Still, if the video didn't get out there, why would you still want to go to court and have more shit out there to the public?
I don't
So
know.
then, do you even really care about what was out there? Or again, are you just wanting to get the money?
Are you just yeah, I was gonna say, are you just doing this just to do this to get the paycheck? Yep.
And like we said before, or are you just being led by the wrong people telling you to do this? And is she able to make these decisions on her own? And I feel bad if that's true. Like, I feel bad if she's not able to realize, I just don't want to do this.
I don't know because, again, I'm taking everything with a grain of salt. In my opinion, I feel like she was manipulated by Sandoval, and I do feel she is being manipulated in some capacity with her team. Just based off of how that whole discourse goes in her podcast, I do feel like it is very, I don't want to say fed, but it's fed. That's like the only word I can think of. So, yeah,
Well, I don't even know though, because the podcast is like now not smart with the lawsuit. So they didn't even release an episode this
I
week.
noticed that. Okay, that was another thing. I was going to ask you about that. Do you think that they did not release an episode because they're waiting to read everything online? Or do you think that they're like, okay, wait, we have to kind of cut this right now because you are literally recorded online saying certain things? We need to
I
stop.
think that they're not gonna be able to say a lot of stuff on the podcast. I don't even know what they're gonna say now. I don't
Interesting.
even know if they're gonna be able to have a podcast. I don't know how you can talk and be constantly weary of what you're saying because of the law.
And like, we didn't really see this coming either. Specifically, if you've been listening to Rachel Goes Rogue, I know for me, I did not see this coming based on what she has shared in the
I
podcast towards Sandoval, towards Ariana. I did not see this coming.
I did not see this coming, and I also feel like I had some inside things, and I still did not see this coming.
Right. What is it called? They pulled the rug from underneath us. Like, as viewers, as listeners, we were like,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah, what? All right, back on topic. I have to say with Lala though, with Sandoval, when she was telling him how she felt, I felt in that moment, I'm like, she just needs a hug. She just right now, she needs a hug.
Yeah.
She's looking at you and she's like, please, why are you not listening to me? I just want you to say sorry. And he hugged her. And I was like, okay. He felt what she needed there. I was surprised, but he knew
It's almost
she
like
needed
he's
that
always
hug.
a moment too late. Like,
Yeah.
he almost needs time to process certain things. And I was actually, I don't want to say proud. I was happy that he said, I'm still processing all of this. I'm still processing this whole weekend because I think that gave us a little insight on how Tom perceives things, how Tom understands.
It did, and when Sheena came and explained it to him, I thought that was such an interesting and good moment, and, like, then he understood. He That's the thing, I think that's why I always have, and again, when we talked about this a little bit, like, being a teacher, it's when I look at him, and this is not to excuse him, okay? Please try not to look at this as an excuse, try to look at this as an understanding, because trust me, I am not excusing Tom Sandoval, nor do I want to excuse Tom Sandoval, but I see somebody who has, well, besides all the gross stuff with the cheating and all that, I see somebody who has such a difficult time communicating. And because of his great difficulties with communicating, he really fucks himself over a lot. And he doesn't have like as deep of relationships, and people misunderstand him. He misunderstands others completely. And so I just always think like, okay, this is like an understanding thing. And one of the things that people say about him, like, when he has these freak out moments, because he seemed better, right? Like, with meditation, he was, like, softer, and then he attacked Lala, and it was like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Right,
But
hot and cold, yeah.
right, he's constantly protecting himself on defense. He constantly has a wall over him, and it's, like, almost like he's constantly on guard, um, like a caged animal, which is kind of ironic with his tiger shit, but, like, like, he's constantly thinking or protecting himself or trying to make himself look a certain way or better or constantly thinking people are coming at him and defending himself, and, like, when that to me, it's like the mask slips and then you see the real him inside because Ariana had to like something for that to last that
Correct.
long.
Yes, and, like, just to piggyback off what you said, I feel like, yeah, people in general, but I don't know if we were recording when I said this earlier, but it's not a one size fits all model.
Right.
That's always my, like, outlook on things, though, I guess, obviously, because of my profession, but I appreciated that I thought Sheena showed Sandoval friendship in that moment when she came over and she kind of helped to communicate what Lala maybe was trying to communicate to him and vice versa.
Yeah. She did, like I said before, she was not selfish in the moment. She thought about, "I'm gonna put myself aside for a second. What does my friend Lala need? What does my friend Sandoval need?" And she put everything aside for what was needed in that moment for 2 other people. We're just going to take a quick break and give a shout out to Draw Me Bitch, the person who did our podcast artwork, who is amazing. Please check her out on Instagram and on TikTok. She also has her website, shopmebitch.com, where you can buy coloring books, stickers, gifts for all things Bravo. But she now has a subscription on her page, which gets you access to weekly Vanderpump coloring pages. Definitely go check her out. You will not regret it. And I also would like to give a shout out to our friend Peyton. She is Glorified Gossip Girl on Instagram. Right now, her account is down because of weird rules that don't make sense. So please go follow her back up at Glorified Gossip Girl, but with a U for the girl. And she also is Glorified Vintage Girl. She does amazing work. A lot of Bravo Lebs wear her and order from her, including Ariana Madix, Danielle Rivera, Katie Maloney. Go check her out and support her. Her website is on her IG page, or it's www.distressedout.myshopify.com. She is a super hard worker. She's great at what she does, and she's an amazing person as well. So 2 fabulous girls to check out. And now back to the pod. But yeah, so the whole boat thing was just, I felt like that conversation needed to happen. It's really disappointing the way he deflects. It's really disappointing the way he doesn't understand. And it's annoying. It's just annoying. But in talking about the way that he communicates differently, the other reason why I was able to see this more was watching the episode where he had on his podcast Kyle Chan come on and basically was like the Sandoval whisperer and got him to understand shit and got him to communicate like in a much more effective way and held him accountable. And that's where I was like, see, he really does need guidance. I mean, he shouldn't. He's old, sir. He shouldn't need guidance, but he does. And I don't know. I think that Lala has a softer spot. I understand Lala not wanting to crucify him because I feel the same way at this point. I'm like, this is just enough now. Like, it's just enough of the whole like berating him.
Right.
But I don't agree with Lala towards Ariana. And I
No.
don't,
Yeah, no, 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 me neither.
so this is like a big thing here. I get Sheena 100. I truly 100% get Sheena. And I feel so bad that she feels like she needs Ariana to tell her that she can talk to Sandoval. And I don't think it's fair. I personally, and I love Ariana, I just don't think it's right. And again, I love Katie. I don't think it's right for both of them to be like, yeah, we know what's going to happen. Katie was like, Sheena, if you're going to be friends with him, she's going to cut you off. So think of your next move carefully. And Ariana was like, yeah. And it's just like, does she need to cut her off? I don't know. But I think that's what Ariana needs and feels right now, meaning when they're taping this, okay, during this time period that they're taping this. And that is her boundary. And that's understandable to be her boundary. It doesn't mean that from an outsider, I don't look at it and say, I don't think it's probably necessary, but I understand that that's what she feels at this time, maybe forever, who knows, but that's what she feels is necessary, and that's okay because we're not her, and she has to do what she knows is right for her own mental health. I just personally, from an outside perspective on it and thinking about like what Sheena feels and what Ariana feels and what everyone feels, I just think there could be a middle gray area where there's a compromise on both their parts. For instance, something that you can do when you have a situation like this, like in relationships, is say, I'm going to compartmentalize our relationship and I will talk to you, but not about anything ever having to do with Sandoval. I don't wanna be around him, I don't wanna see him, I don't wanna discuss him, I don't want him part of our relationship at all. You know what I mean? Like, she can say, "I won't completely get rid of my friendship with you, but I will not have anything to do with him, and I do not want you to ever talk about him to me."
Okay, well, this
Um,
is like a two-part answer for me, I guess, because I feel that one, Sheena shouldn't personally be talking to Ariana about this stuff. I think that would also help her friendship with Ariana.
absolutely.
And I think that she has to be understanding that there might be a little bit of a dynamic change if she does choose to figure out what her relationship with Sandoval is. I think Sheena has to be understanding that like Ariana isn't going to be like, yeah, that sounds great. And I
Right.
also think that Ariana could be a little bit understanding of Sheena's relationship or position with Sandoval
Mhm.
as a friend, not as a partner, not as somebody who was with somebody for 10 years. Separate the two. Again, this is us looking at just the person.
Yeah. Let me ask you something. What would you do if you were in Sheena's case? Would you be asking Ariana, would you be telling like, what would you do if you were Sheena in
Ugh,
Sheena's
I
situation?
have been Sheena before. So this is personal because I have been
You
Sheena before.
you've been in the same exact type of situation?
Yeah.
Wow. What was that like?
I've been in the same situation in the sense of, I was friends with a couple for a very long time. I became friends with both of them. And um, I really empathize with Sheena, is what I will say. I think she genuinely is in a very difficult situation.
Oh, interesting.
So I see where
Yeah.
she's coming from. I could see the hard time that she's having, is what I'll say.
So what I'm wondering is because I am somebody with OCD, when Sheena was asking Ariana, or basically telling Ariana how she was feeling and basically like asking for permission and hoping that Ariana would be like, "Yes, I get it. I get you here. Like you can talk to him."
I
I
don't
like
think that
that's
Ariana can, though. See, that's the thing. Like, I
mm,
feel like it's not possible for Ariana to sympathize with Sheena.
oh, right. I totally agree. And it's not her place to. But my question is, would a person typically, do you feel like you would be asking what I'm trying to say is me, I'm like that, and I realize that that's wrong because I think a lot of people would just make the decision on their own and be like, "I'm gonna continue to be friends with Tom, no matter what Ariana says, and if she's fine with it, she's fine with it, when she's not, she's not." Or they would say, "I'm not friends with him, I'm done. I pick her and that's him," and they make their decision. I am more like, I don't want you to feel a certain way, so I'm gonna see how you're feeling about
I
the
was gonna say, I think
situation,
you also, though, deeply consider how the other person's feeling.
but that might not necessarily be a good thing, I'm realizing, because that's kind of like seeking assurance, like and I'm realizing, like, when I was watching this, it's like a little bit of a mirror. I'm like, "Hmm." I'm looking at Sheena, and I'm understanding what she's doing, but I'm realizing that Sheena's doing that also for herself. Because she wants reassurance about it, which is something that we look for a lot if you have OCD. I don't know if this is her OCD, but she wanted reassurance to feel better about it. And she shouldn't need to do that because then that's not fair to Ariana. Then you're putting it on her too. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it just made me realize maybe when I do that too, I always think of it as for the other person because I don't want them to feel a certain way. But the truth is that it's also just to make me not feel as bad.
Yeah, no, I
And
totally get what you're
because
saying.
I don't wanna cause, you know what it is because I don't wanna cause another person pain, which is, I guess, what she's
Correct,
feeling.
yes, and I think that Sheena has the same MO, like, uh, what does MO stand for? You know what I mean when I say MO?
Yeah.
Thank you. I was like, there's like a thing like modus operandi or something. That's what it is,
Yeah.
modus operandi. But I
I think
do not the only reason I know modus operandi is from Lil Wayne. I wanna make that very clear.
why he has that in a
That
song.
was that was in one of his songs, and he says, like, "My MO, my modus operandi," and I was like, "That's what it means?" And if you look it up in Latin, it means, like, motivation behind something, to do something,
Wow, cool. Yeah, I
you
just
know?
always
Shout
it's just
out
always
Lil Wayne. We shouted out Ludacris last time, Lil
Chris Little
Wayne,
Wayne.
love it. But no, I 1,000% agree, and that's where I'm like, no, I do want her eventually to talk to Ariana about it, but I do think that she should share this with other people first, make her decision or get all of her pieces together, and then present Ariana with the full picture.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I don't know, it was just interesting to just realize I think most people would just make the decision.
And when you say most people, like, I know what you mean by that, but let's be super
I mean, I
clear.
don't know if I would say typical people, I would just
Maybe
say
like over
I honestly
analyzers,
no, I honestly mean most
because I feel
people.
like most people are not over analyzers.
Exactly, and people with OCD, the doubting disorder, are. My point is I don't know if she's just seeking reassurance and if that's part of her OCD or if it's not part of her OCD, but my best guess would be it is. It's just the way her brain thinks. It's we're saying it's part of OCD, it's also just the way your brain is built and
Right,
way
and it's
certain
like how
things
you
are built.
kinda analyze or maybe process certain things too, 1,000%, yeah.
Yeah, so I felt bad because 'cause I'm like, I know she wants a certain answer from Ariana, she's not going to get it, and Ariana shouldn't need to give her that answer. Ariana shouldn't have to do that. Like,
Right,
if you're gonna
especially
make the decision, and then Ariana will do what she needs to do that's right for her, and I actually don't think she would shut Sheena out.
I don't think so either, I just think it has to be maybe communicated differently or
Mhm.
processed.
And the other thing I wanna talk about is, like, it's also not fair to Ariana because it's kind of like, let's say, God forbid, somebody got into a car accident and the person driving ends up with a broken arm, bruised rib, just really can't do anything for months. Okay. And the other person in the car has like a few scratches, totally fine, nothing else. If that person B who has just a few scratches and then it's talking to person A who was completely wrecked by this car wreck and trying to say to them, you know, do you feel for me? Do you feel for me? Like it she can't feel for you as much, Sheena. I'm saying Sheena. Because what happened to her is just way, way worse than what happened to you. You can go talk to other people about that car crash, but just don't talk to her about it.
Yeah, also, I was gonna say, Ariana definitely doesn't need to have that discussion while she's in the hiring process. She took that
Right.
phone call, and I was like, "I don't know if that's the right time and place." I know that that's obviously production. "Hey, you're gonna get a phone call from Sheena," yada, 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 all that stuff, but I was like, maybe if Ariana was getting her nails done or was in a different setting, maybe that conversation would have went differently.
Yeah. That scene with Penny was so weird. I've been wondering recently, is Penny working for them anymore? Is she going to be part of something about her?
I am
Because I haven't
so
seen her
curious
post.
about that. Also, I just wanna shout out Electric Owl. I have sat at that table multiple times. The table that they did the hiring at, I have sat, I've gotten happy hour at. They have awesome cocktails, amazing food. I love Electric Owl. And I obviously got a little giddy. I was like, "I've sat there before."
That's so cool.
I don't know. It was awkward. I'm sorry, that scene was awkward.
It was
Or
really
I felt
awkward.
uncomfortable rather. Personally, I felt uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't know if it's what they edited or what, but I'm like, why didn't the girls just start asking the questions themselves instead of like making the faces at her? I was like so confused. I was like,
Me
what's going on?
too,
I don't
me
get it.
too. But the other thing is, I do also feel like if Penny is creating the menu and putting hours, time, sweat, tears into it, I feel like she has every right to ask onboarding questions.
Yeah, she did. It should have just been like a joint effort, I guess. But yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know. I haven't seen Penny post about it in a really long time, and
me
I've been wondering
neither.
for a few months. Like, is she still working? I mean, I don't know how she can, I guess, when you think about if they're not open yet, or maybe she's just taking, I don't know, a break to do something else.
Which could be
Um,
the case.
yeah. Kevin from the 27s. How? on earth do you not know what penne is?
And we're
Like,
saying this
how
with love, by the way. Like, we care and we want you, and if you need help with understanding different pastas, you got 2 Italians here that would love to help.
has he never heard of penne vodka?
Okay, the other thing I was thinking though is,
Wait,
like,
how is penne vodka not a thing over there? Because this is like a way of life over here.
well, okay, that's the other thing though. I'm gonna be honest, as a transplant out here, East Coast to West Coast, the Italian food definitely does not hit. So, like,
Oh,
you
we
know
should have said told everybody. So I'm New Jersey.
right.
M is in in LA, right?
Yes, I'm born and raised New York for 25 years, and I am Italian, but, like, Italiano is, like, a thing. It's a personality, you know what I mean? Like, I take my pasta very seriously, and we
Yep.
call it sauce, not gravy. I don't know if you wanna get into that.
Oh, I'm so you know what? I knew I liked you. Can I'm like, it really I
No, it's a
understand
big
it's, like,
debate.
where
It's
you're from in Italy, but it's sauce, it's not gravy, and there's gonna be people listening who are like, "Are you fucking kidding me? It's fucking gravy." It's sauce.
No, like, one time, me and my family were at somebody's house for a party or something, and this one woman and she wasn't Italian, and she told my mom she wasn't Italian. She was like, "We call it gravy." And my mom was like, "Yeah, gravy, sauce, whatever." And she was like, "No, it's gravy." And when we went home that night, my mom was like, "It's sauce." And I was like, "Of course it's sauce."
Children do not listen, it's
Right?
sauce.
But, yeah, I
Funny.
feel like that's a fun debate, and I would love to know, so if you guys are listening, please let us know. Do you call your pasta sauce, sauce or gravy?
Yeah, you put gravy on turkey, you put sauce on
Facts,
pasta.
period, dot dash, yeah.
But anyway, what's the vodka sauce thing? They don't have penne vodka over there?
No, but, like, for real, that I would say the most is, like, "Oh, spaghetti and meatballs," like, that's, like, the staple to, like, I know, it's
Stop.
a disservice.
Really?
I know.
You don't have penny vodka pizza too? That's delicious.
Oh, n okay, that's the other thing, we got gluten, carbs, all that stuff out here,
Right, not allowed to eat carbs.
that's the whole thing.
What a story. That's crazy.
It's not about the pizza.
Do you know what that's from, by the way? No, what a story?
What a story.
Have you ever seen The Room, the movie The Room?
Is it The Panic Room with Jodie Foster or no?
No, 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 no.
No?
It's like the cult classic. It's the best, worst movie ever made. You need to
Oh, okay, I'll add it to the list, see?
I'll send it to you, and it's beyond okay, anyway, Kevin, go get yourself educated on pasta. But I love that Katie used that as, like, a qualifier because
Wait,
I
also
would
her face, by the way, we cannot
I know.
ignore her face after he was like, "Oh, is that the sauce?" And she was like, "No, it's the pasta." And then she totally made a face after. I was like, "Yes, Katie."
Guess what? I had that clip ready to go too, and freaking TikTok won't let me post anything. I'll post on Instagram. They're not letting me post freaking clips. Copyright everything. Copyright my ass. What's going on? This is like advertising. Why is it copyright? It's basically telling people, go watch the show. It's funny as shit.
Right,
So Katie said, I just don't know if I want another project boyfriend. Yes.
agreed, because I feel like she would have to teach, and I feel like she's kinda tired. I feel like she taught a lot or
Yeah.
felt or
Yeah.
assumed the role of, I need to do this to make
Yeah.
her last relationship work, and I understand why she wouldn't wanna do that again.
She needs somebody to take care of her. But it's interesting because Schwartz, I do really think Schwartz is so much more grown now than he
Yes!
was even a year ago.
1,000%. I feel like Schwartz and Lala have put so much work into themselves, and it shows.
It's interesting because Schwartz has not attended therapy, but he, for some reason, I mean, maybe the school of Bravo has helped him because he's now super into Bravo. Maybe he's seeing like toxic male energy on TV and all
And
of
maybe
that.
he's, like, reflecting a little bit more too, because I feel like a lot of okay,
And by the way, there's plenty of toxic female energy on TV too. I'm just saying
no,
there's a lot
that's
of
another
toxic
great
male
point though
energy.
too, because yes, there is a lot of toxic female energy, but I don't know, maybe he's just gotten to a point where he's like, "Okay, the world really has a lot to comment on about me. Let me
Yeah.
comment about me. Let me look at myself. Let me make my own
Hmm.
comments," you know?
Yeah, I like that. Would you go on that water slide to the lake if they had a water slide, like you said?
Is the sky blue? Hell yeah.
Oh my god,
Absolutely.
you would I think I would not be here after 10 seconds on the water slide. I'm not kidding, like,
Oh, no, it
I'm
looks
doing
so fun. I can't do, like, roller coaster. I could do, like, 1 roller coaster, and then I need, like, an hour in between, but water slides all day, every day, yeah.
oh god. I get a wedgie on every water slide, like, terrible, and I'm like, "I'm gonna get up," and my Bathing suit is gonna be completely I actually don't understand how people don't. It always has bothered me at water parks because I just have an ass that forms wedgies on water slides? Like, I don't get it. You don't have this issue? Like, no, it
Wait,
seems
I
like it's
have
only
something to
me.
say.
What?
I do have something to say about this, which is very funny. That makes me feel like you might have a little bit of a bubble butt, but my family makes fun of me because they call my ass a washboard because of how flat my butt is.
Oh, I do have a butt,
Okay, so
yeah.
then that's why.
Okay, back on track. Okay, alright, so Lala accused Sandoval of grooming. Do you think so I thought I think they both fight so dirty. They just, like, scream out the nastiest things to each
Yes.
other, and they're, like, alike in that way. I mean, she'd
Yep.
probably so pissed off if she heard me say, like, in any way with him, but they both get so dirty, and they just yell nasty things to people
Because I
that are
think that they
really
speak out of hurt in a moment, and then I think once they take a beat, I
yeah.
think they speak out of their heart.
Yeah. So I did think the same thing as Lala. Like when I saw Rachel in that final confessional and then I watched it for like,
Yes.
the 10th time, then I didn't feel that way. But I did feel like, was he grooming her? People were saying, the age, but it's not just about age, it's about power.
Yes.
However, I don't think he groomed her. I really don't. And I think that's a pretty harsh accusation. And I think with somebody like Rachel or Rachel Seen, you have to be careful because she could throw that out there and then they can use that somewhere. Like, oh, now all of a sudden Sandoval groomed her, like where that has never been said before. So it's a little bit of a sticky thing. It's a little sticky.
Yeah. See,
I think he manipulated her a little bit, but I wouldn't say he groomed
okay,
her.
see, that's the thing. Yeah, that's my whole point. I do think that I do think that there's an intention behind grooming as
Yeah.
well as manipulation. There's an intention, but I think the intentions are different. I think he manipulated her.
Yeah. I don't know how much though. I just don't know with Rachel. I'm so confused. The whole back and forth everything. I don't know. The lawsuit threw me for a loop. That really, like we've said before, I understand her coming after Sandoval if Sandoval took those videos without her consent. But coming after Ariana just made me and contradicting herself. I'm so incredibly confused. So I just don't know what to believe at this point. I don't know what's true with her or her team and what is just motive. We'll
And
see.
also with Lala, okay, just because I feel like this is a good point, also a good transition. In the same breath that I could agree with Lala, in the next breath, I'm like, no, I do not agree with you, girl. What are you saying? And that is kind of her with Sheena in the bed saying that Ariana has to pull her head out of her ass.
Yeah.
That's a moment where I'm like, Nope, you lost me."
Yeah. I will tell you though, I've never had so many responses saying that they were disappointed. Like I'm reading one right now, but there's a bunch like this. This one says Ariana's lack of empathy for others is sad to watch. And people were saying, I've always been team Ariana, but I was not happy seeing her this week. Like they are definitely, feeling it a little differently, not changing, I think, a perspective on her as a person, but just like disappointed. I think it's more about the Sheena thing because a lot of people I'm reading my comments right now too. I guess I should have pulled that up before too, but it's actually even more than I had earlier saying how they really felt for Sheena. Most aren't, but there's a decent amount of people saying how they feel for Sheena.
I was surprised, especially because, like, prior to this season and even in the beginning of the season, it was very, I feel like, one-sided, and now I think that people are, or at least my, impression is that people are looking at Sheena more as a person rather than just a piece in Scandal.
Yeah. I mean, then you have others, obviously saying flip flopper, saying, "Oh, somebody sent me a whole
But I feel
screenshot."
like, especially when you watch reality TV, there's a lot of, like, polarizing points, and it's
Yeah.
either she's a flip-flopper or, "Oh, I feel bad for Sheena." Whereas some people are like, "Listen, Sheena can be a flip-flopper, and she can also feel. She can.
Yeah.
Her
To
feelings
give
are real."
To explain some people also, I do see some people saying that wasn't fair what she did to Ariana.
I agree with that, though. In the you mean in the sense of, like, her trying to talk to Ariana about how she's feeling?
So I guess so, because somebody said she came for Ariana multiple times.
Though that she did come for Ariana in a way.
Did you feel that way?
Yes. The only reason I feel this is because, when Lala and Sheena are in the bed and Lala was like, "Well, did Ariana come to your defense?"
Mhm.
Somebody sent me a post that Ariana posted during that time.
Yes, I have that,
Or
yes.
do we have the same one?
Yeah, but did you see the preview for next week?
No, I did not see the preview for next week yet.
Lala says to her, "Why didn't you put up a post?" And Ariana's like, "Well, I'm not going to put up a post and have every publication, put it everywhere." And she's like, "Really? You're not gonna say, like, just stop coming for my friend China?" She's like, "She's
Oh,
your
wait,
friend."
so did Ariana's post come at that
Yes.
okay, then I
Yes.
nope, never mind then. So
And s
ooh, see how in this moment, in this very moment, how I thought and felt one
all
thing and
all the
how
pieces.
yep, there it
And
is.
when Ariana put up that post, I made this the main thing I was saying when Ariana put up the post, I'm like, "Leave Sheena alone." Like, "Leave Britney alone. Leave Sheena alone." Because I was just like, "See, Ariana's not mad at Sheena. Don't be mad at Sheena." But
No, but
the
that
truth
kinda
is
bothers
Lala
me, bro, to be completely honest, it kinda bothers me a little bit. I'm a
I mean,
little
she still did it though. She still did it. I don't part of me was like, did she do it though because it was on camera
that's what I
and
mean.
she
Did she
felt
do
like
it
she
because
had
she
to
was
do
on
it?
camera, as well as did she do it because one of her friends kind of encouraged her to see that point of view?
I don't know. I do feel like Ariana loves her friends. And
Yes.
I think that even though she's upset and all of that, I think that she knows Sheena's heart. And I think that no matter what, she will protect her and doesn't ever want anything bad to happen to her. And the same, even though she hates Sandoval, when he was at his lowest low, she did have somebody check on him and make sure he was okay because she does care about people. So again, I whenever I view Ariana now, I just view her at this time as just she's so angry, and I would be the same way if I put myself in her shoes. I get it. I feel for Sheena completely, but at the same time, if I was Ariana and this was my friend coming to me saying like, "I miss your ex who, fucked you over and also kind of fucked me over, but I'm missing him." I'd be like, "Well, why the fuck are you missing him?" But I would have such a hard time with that. You know what I mean? So I just feel for both of them. I feel for both of them. And you know whose fault this is? Tom Sandoval.
Tom's. I literally have been in these shoes, and it fucking sucks so bad.
It sucks. Can't imagine being in Sheena's shoes. Can't imagine being in Ariana's shoes.
I can't imagine being in any of their shoes, honestly.
Yeah.
It's a
It's
really
just
difficult situation, and I see all of the different sides.
It's hard for all of them. Although, like we said before, like with the accident example, of course, this is the hardest for Ariana. And she is like the true victim of everything here. And then, people bring up a good point. People were saying this too, like, well, Lala coming at Ariana. Meanwhile, girls made bank
And
off of what
that's
happened to
fair.
Ariana.
That's a
Bank.
fair statement. Somebody came at me on one of my posts that I posted about Lala because I was under the impression I thought that Lala made a point that she was able to buy a new house or put money down or fund one of her investments because of the
She
sending
did.
to Daryl.
She did. She kind of retracted it, but she did. She said it and then she kind of retracted it. She was
Okay,
like, "Well,
because I
that's not
had a
what I."
lot of people coming at me and I was like, I swear I heard her say this, and I wouldn't put that out there unless I really thought that I was sure about it.
She said she was able to do the down payment on her
That's what it
house,
was, the down
her house,
payment. Thank you.
yeah, in Palm Springs because of said to Daryl, and then said that that's not what she meant or whatever. Yeah, no, I love Lala, but that made no sense.
Can we talk about the Lala with the Ariana has to pull her head out of her ass? Because that really, for me, I was like, Lala, I was just agreeing with you on the boat, and now I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I
What do
felt like Sheena flip-flopping.
Yeah. What did you think about it?
I just felt like that was not fair for her to say. Because personally, I don't feel Ariana has acted in a way where her head is up her ass. I feel like I agree. Ariana made it a comment in this episode, and she was like talking about if one of her friends were to become friends with Sandoval again, she has to continue on her path. I feel like Ariana has her eye on the prize, and that is she is doing what is best for her.
Mhm.
That's it, point blank.
Yeah.
What did you
I
like? Did you agree? Could you kind of see where
I
Lala
think
was coming from, or no?
I think she used the wrong words. I didn't like it. Like I said, I don't like the way Lala has been coming for Ariana. I feel like there is zero chance that if Lala was in the same shoes as Ariana, that she would be acting the way Lala is suggesting Ariana act. Zero fucking percent chance. that if she were in the same shoes as Ariana, she would be acting the way she's suggesting Ariana act, and
Right.
that bothers me.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's exactly where I stand.
So, she's not understanding. She's you know what? I can't decide though. I think a big part of it is just being Sheena's best friend, like Lala, just being so close to Sheena. They're literally like family members. They celebrate the holidays together. They live next door to each other in Palm Springs. Their families are super duper close. Their girls are best friends. Like they have a bond. And when you're pregnant with someone, okay, when you're pregnant with a friend, even if you
Oh my
weren't
gosh,
close in
I
the
didn't even
beginning,
think about that. You're so right. I mean, obviously, I'm not a parent, but I didn't even think about that. That bond, that moment.
listen, I was talking to, yeah, somebody about this recently on Instagram, actually. It's a different bond. Like, I became really good friends with someone who I was not even close to at all before, with 2 people actually, because of being pregnant together. It gave us a bond that, like, you just can't ever it's just different. Like,
It's kind of like
you
if
don't
you
know
know, you
about it until
know.
it happens. What?
It's kind of like if you know, you know, for real.
Yeah, if you know, you know, like, you can't explain it, it's just, like, this thing, like, being pregnant together is, like, a really special, special thing. So, they were pregnant together, they have the girls, they live next door to each other, they've been through a lot of ups and downs
They're
together,
on
they
the
do the show
show, their
together.
lives are getting filmed together, right.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of it is Lala protecting her Shishu, and
Oh, I love that. No, I see, I just said, "Oh," like, it's yeah, you're right. It is.
I think that's what a lot of it is. I do.
And I
I think that's
respect that, and I do kinda love Lala for that too. Even if what she said was against Ariana, in the same breath, see how I'm gonna be labeled a flip-flopper? I can respect Lala because she's showing up for Sheena.
yeah. Yeah. I think she has to have just a little bit more understanding, though, of what Ariana is going through, and she keeps saying, like, "You don't get what Sheena's going through," but I think she really does need to understand more of what our put herself in Ariana's
Or
shoes.
maybe just give a little bit more energy towards what Ariana's going through, yeah.
Yeah. I feel so bad for Ariana too,
And
like, it's just
also, I mean, they memed Sheena online today. Memed her with crying in the bed.
I know, which, like, really sucks because that was so real, like,
For me,
it's
that was not crocodile tears. I was like, "Oh my god."
no, and I don't even know if they think it's crocodile tears. I think that people just are tired of her whatever, but, like, come
I
on.
just wish or not I wish, I hope that people could try to separate Sheena just as a person. Like, what if that was you? Again, that is always my first thought. What if that was me? And then that thought spirals into 12 other thoughts of, okay, if that was me, how would I feel? What would I think? What would the other person think? How would I respond?
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I mean? But for me,
yeah,
that makes me feel like at least or at least I tried to understand, and that makes me feel a little bit better when I give an opinion.
right.
'Cause I'm not just like, "This is that, period." It's like, "Hey, I thought about it this way, that way, the other way, sideways. This is where I came out," you know?
Yeah. I wanna say quickly too before I forget, Lala, when she had that moment hugging Sandoval, there is the beach day that came out. I don't know if it's gonna be in the next episode or not. Maybe. The beach day that we had a lot of behind the scenes for, and there was the shot of Lala going to hug Sandoval on the beach, and people were in, like, a big uproar, and I said it's so weird. I wonder if I'm gonna be right or not. I wonder if it's, like, soon. I said the way that she was hugging him was like a, "Come here, buddy." Like, it was just like a, "We had just worked things out a little bit. We kinda just meet up on a teeny bit of a level, and I'm seeing you right now. Even though I'm still annoyed at you, it's like, 'Come here, buddy.' Like, I'm gonna embrace you for this,
Right, I'll
mo."
give you a little leeway.
Yeah, and it's just like that connection of, "We just went through something, and now I'm seeing you again, and hi."
Also, I guess kind of what Sandoval was saying with, like, him being a dog and, like, "You're not allowed to come inside, but we're gonna leave food out on the
Oh
porch,"
my
you know?
god, that was funny. That was actually true. That
I
was
was
actually
like, "Yeah, I could see."
back to that Ariana and Lala thing, I just think that I'm wondering if that's crying scene that happens with Lala and Ariana, or what happens with Ariana, it's after the beach day. I wonder if that's where we're gonna get Lala and Ariana kind of having a talk about everything. So Sheena said she's crying to Lala about Ariana with Dancing with the Stars. The preview for next week with it is a little bit more extreme. But in that moment, I felt like she was saying, I'm so happy for my friend. I'm so happy she's having these opportunities. It's just that that was a dream and that's was something that she wanted to do. Does everybody think that Sheena is the best dancer and should be on Dancing with the Stars? I guess not. I have no idea how great of a dancer Sheena is. I mean, I had no idea Ariana could dance like that.
But that's
She
what I
killed
mean,
it.
it's not even about that, it's just about the fact of, like, Sheena just sharing, "Hey, that's something, like, I was looking kind of forward to," and I don't wanna make this about me and be Sheena times 10, but I did bring this up last time when we were talking. Remember how I said I auditioned to be Aubrey in Little Shop of Horrors in high school?
Yeah.
One of my best friends got that role. I was so excited for her. I was so
Yeah.
sad that I didn't get it, and in the
Right.
same capacity, I was stoked to clap for her. I
Yep.
think that the 2 can exist, I do.
Two things can be true at once. Two things can be true. And people need to understand that. You can be happy for somebody else while still feeling a little bit sad.
And I wanna say, I think that I know that people don't think, or not people don't think, but I guess because of, Sheena always questioning herself, I do think that Sheena is confident when she says that. I can
Mhm.
still be excited for my friend and still be a little bit bummed that I didn't get the opportunity.
Yeah. I think, like I've said before, I think Sheena's past shit of making things about herself just has people thinking that in this situation, that's what's going on. But I don't think it is. However, it is kind of funny though when I sit and think about it. It is kind of funny that the Dancing with the Stars, like just because she was crying about things that were so
I
serious,
was
but
not
then
expecting that. Were you
the Dancing
expecting
with
her
the
to say
Stars.
that?
What?
Were you expecting her to say that? I was not expecting her to say that.
No, I think she was just pouring everything out. Another thing that people have to realize, okay, and I'm going to say this, and I hope nobody takes offense to what I'm going to say here. Sometimes when I'm watching TV shows, in my head, I'll be like, it seems like it's the time of the month for the girl. And guys can never say that, by the way. If you're a guy, don't ever say this. But because I'm a girl, I can say it. Because very, I act very differently at a certain time of the month. Like the week before, I I can't control my emotions as much. And things hit me harder. And I always say, like, I get, like, 2 good weeks of the month, 1 week of, like, crazy town, and then one that's, like, an in-between but more emotional week of the month. So, you never know what time of month this is for a person. You don't know what a person is going through. You don't know what's making them a little more raw, a little more vulnerable. She's also in this hard situation. Like, there's all these things, and she's just, like, the Dancing with the Stars thing. But
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh." I felt bad for her.
I did. I know, I really genuinely did, just because online it's all
Le
about Sheena, it's the Sheena show, and I'm like, "Yeah, I could get where you're coming from in that," but in the same breath, again, I'm looking at Sheena just as a person.
But I'm
And
gonna tell you, my messages are very different from general comments. And
oh,
my
you
when I
mean like
talk
what people know other people won't see?
Yeah, it's very, very different. Like, people will write me these full messages about these topics, and they're completely different from what you're seeing in the it's like whoever creator's post you're looking at, the comments will be a little different, you know? I saw somebody who was really cute, they wrote something on my post tonight. She wrote, like she's like, I respect reality up, so I'm not going to say what I wanna say about these 2, but" and she was just, like, saying how she respects, like, my perspective or something like that, because, I think that people look at each creator and what their general thoughts are on an issue and you'll comment based off of that. So my comments are very different from other people's comments. My messages are even more different.
No, that's fair. I agree with that, only because as of recently, people have been messaging me, and I can say that I do see a difference in that.
Yeah.
I did wanna ask you really, really quick, this was something I wanted to discuss. In the sense of mental health, when Lala and Sheena are in the bed together, and Lala's like, "Where are you seeing all of this? What are you looking on? Are you looking for this?" And Sheena's like, "No, I'm not. I'm not. I just looked in my mentions." And
Yeah.
Lala was like, "Well, what the fuck? Don't do that."
Yeah.
Do you feel like Sheena, because she does advocate and talk about, some of her mental health stuff, do you feel like she should, if she's already having a difficult day, should she be on social media in that way?
No, Sheena cares too much what everybody thinks, and that's why I think it's even more painful to know that people destroy her so much online because she actually cares what people think. People don't give her credit for caring what people think. There are some people that don't give a fuck what people think, and those are the people
Right.
that you shouldn't give a fuck about. But she cares, and I feel terrible, and she looks at that shit and she obsesses about that shit, and I get it. I get it because that's me. I'm very careful though now. I don't do that.
I was
I
gonna say, I
protect
feel
my
like
mental.
you're really good at and you were even the one that told me, like, "If you need to take a break, you should take a break." And I was like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
can? I can take a break? Because as a new content creator, it's kind of just taught, like, you should push, push, push content. So that's what I
Oh,
was
I take
doing.
my break.
I
Mhm.
know, and I take breaks now, and I thank you for that because I know it's okay if I don't post for a day or 2. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, like, we're recording this on Wednesday, so the night after the episode. I could not post anything about this episode until tonight, and I only post 1 clip because I'm like, "I can't." I need the mental space from it. It was a really good episode, but there was very heavy stuff. There was a lot of thinking involved. I also do like to post things in my stories and get some perspectives, but I don't like to look at too many comments overall the internet. Like, I'll look at some, but because I don't wanna be led to feel differently than I already feel, unless it's like a really valid point. And I love hearing different perspectives, but I think I get enough of that in the comment sections that I feel like are fair. And the people who comment on my stories, I love the messages. Like, I have to be careful because I think that sometimes people continue to spew narratives because they are the popular one or because they're the fun one, rather than really looking at what is really going on here. Like, I think that we as a society tend to focus on labeling and not moving on from that. And I don't like doing that as a person in my real life. So I try to not do that as a person on my online community. And yeah, the internet can get crazy, and Lala really is not in her mentions. I will tell you that. She does not go in her comments much at all. She does not respond to things. She does not look at her mentions in her stories. She doesn't look at any of that shit.
Lala, right?
Lala.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we are done for today. We exhausted the absolute shit out of that episode. We literally analyzed the crap out of it. We will have another episode for you next week with a recap, but we're going to do it the way we did it in the past, where we just pick out like the most important parts to us because we just went over way too much this time. We really are trying to get a 1-part episode.
Agreed.
If we could, of course, we shall see. It depends on what kind of news comes up also. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you give us a follow, rate the podcast. If you can, it helps so much. We really appreciate that. Let us know in messages any feedback that you'd like to let us know. Like we said, we're always up for kind critique. And that's it.
Truly, truly appreciate it. All of the, polls and questions that Ro puts up, like, it is so fun to read through the questions that you guys have and just any comments that you guys have. So, yes, give us a follow and we will chat with you guys later.
We'll see you guys later.
Thank you so much. It's always fun.
Later.